What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1, and it is time for our Georgia Bulldog predictions for the upcoming 2025 college football season. Coming off of a disappointing year. 10-2, a disappointment for Georgia. Most teams would be happy with 10-2, but by their standards, I mean, this was really not a great season last year, losing 2 regular season games, and they did still at least win the SEC championship. But then didn't get all the way to the national championship in the playoffs. So let's see what this year is, our predictions for this year. But first, let's look back at the last 3 years and just to show you where our predictions were. So I had them in 22 and 23. I had them going 12-0. They did go 12-0. Last year, I had this team at 11-1. I did predict them to lose 1 game, but I did not predict them to lose 2 games, and they did in fact lose 2 regular season games, going 10-2. So now we get to 2025. Just first of all, some thoughts on this team before we get to the predictions. The roster is loaded, obviously. This is going to be one of the top rosters in all of college football, as they are every year. I wouldn't say there are any huge weaknesses or anything. A couple of question marks, though. The wide receiver position, they have talent there. They had talent there last year, but just so many drop passes, and it just didn't work out great for them at that position. And then, of course, Gunnar Stockton really didn't show me a ton last year in the time that we saw him. I thought he was, solid. He got the job done, but didn't really show me that he was a guy that was going to maybe take this team to the next level. So we'll see if he can get there this year. That will be the big question mark. So I would just say overall the passing game, because you look at the run game, that running back room is loaded this year. You look at the offensive line, they're strong there, and then across the board on defense, they're really good. So this is a team that has the talent to win a national championship, no doubt about it. But will it all come together for them with Gunnar Stockton and these wide receivers? I think that's what's going to determine how far they go in 2025. And they should start off with 2 easy wins here, Marshall and Austin Peay, and it gets them off to a 2-0 start. And then they play Tennessee on the road September 13th. Tough place to play. Playing early this year. This is a game that is typically played later in the season, but week 3 this year, Tennessee is a team that I think is going to be good on defense. I like what they have coming back. I think they will be strong on that side of the ball. Offensively, they did lose a lot at wide receiver. You had a quarterback that you thought was coming back this year, of course, with Nico. He's gone. They bring in Joey Aguilar, a guy who's kind of transferring around. And he was a guy that played really well a couple years ago at App State, but not so much last year. So which version of him will they get? That's really going to determine, I think, how good Tennessee is. But I don't think it's going to be clicking for them offensively this early in the year. I think Tennessee's defense will play really well because it's at home. The crowd will be fired up for this one, and I think the defense will keep them in it. But I don't think it'll be enough. I don't know. Tennessee might score like 10 points in this game, and I don't think they're going to hold Georgia below a couple touchdowns. So I think Georgia does win, but I look for a low-scoring, close game here in this one. Then they get a bye week before playing Alabama, September 27th. Boy, this is just a team that Georgia has struggled with. It's been tough for them to beat Alabama. Last year, boy, that was a weird game. Last year, the way Alabama started, then Georgia came all the way back. I don't think if Georgia gets in a hole this year, they're going to come back without Carson Beck at quarterback. He played really well in that second half to bring them back. I think, if you take out the interceptions, which obviously that's a huge deal, but if you take out Carson Beck's interceptions last year, he played really well. But again, that is part of it. You can't throw interceptions like he did. But yeah, I think that if that happens again, they're not going to have much of a shot. But I think their defense will play really, really well. They're going to be playing at home. I don't expect them to give up those kind of plays like they did last year. And it'll probably be more of a lower scoring game. I think this time, I think they're going to want to run the football. Alabama's secondary is really good. I think if you're going to have success against them, you're going to have to be able to run the football. You're going to have to be balanced. You're going to have to do both things. So it's going to be a challenge for Georgia to make enough plays through the air. But again, leaning on that run game, we'll see if it'll be enough. I just think their defense, though, is the difference. I mean, this is honestly a toss-up game. It's one of those that I was bouncing back and forth on. But I think home field advantage will be enough, and just a motivated Georgia team after last year. I think their defense plays really, really well. You got a young quarterback for Alabama playing on the road. Maybe he struggles a little bit, and Georgia finds a way to get it done. But I expect it to be close. That gets them to 4-0. Then they play Kentucky on October 4th. That was a weird game last year as well. Kentucky hung around in that one. Had a chance to win it, but This year, I just don't think Kentucky's going to be very good. I think they might be the worst team in the SEC. The game is in Athens. Not really any reason to think Kentucky could win this game. I think Georgia wins. I guess the only thing would be if there's like a letdown. If Georgia beats Alabama and they go out and celebrate too much and they come back and they don't focus on Kentucky. Because any team in the SEC is capable. If Kentucky is, in fact, the worst team in the SEC, that doesn't mean they're awful. That's just, there are the teams that we have in the SEC, and there are a lot of good teams. So yeah, as long as they're focused in this one, I don't see any way Georgia loses. You get Auburn next on October 11th on the road. We already know that this is going to be a night game, and that is a tough place to play, especially at night. I feel like Auburn's been close against Georgia. The last few years, they've had some opportunities to potentially pull off an upset, and they haven't gotten it done. And I just think this is the year. I think you'll see some of that Jordan-Hare magic in this one. I think Georgia clearly is a better team, but upsets happen. We see it all the time. It's a rivalry game. I just think Auburn's due for a win here. They have some wide receivers this year. When you look at that unit across the board, they can cause some problems. I think Hugh Freeze will be very aggressive throwing the football with those guys. And if they can win some one-on-one matchups, perhaps they make some big plays through the air and pull off a big upset. So going Auburn here, giving Georgia their first loss, and they get Ole Miss on October 18th. I think Ole Miss drops off from where they were last year, especially on the defensive side. I think that this team was, I don't know if people realize how much talent they had on defense last year. Lost a lot of guys. I think they take a step back there. Yeah, their offense will still be good. It always will be as long as Lane Kiffin is there, or at least more than likely. But yeah, I think Georgia's run game, they're going to wear them down. I don't think the Ole Miss defense is going to be up for that challenge. And I think Georgia playing at home will pull away in this one. And they get a nice bounce back win over the Rebels. So that gets Georgia to 6-1. Another bye week before playing the Florida Gators in what should be a huge matchup. You go back to last year, and when DJ Lagway was in there, it felt like Florida was going to win that game. It almost felt like Florida was the better team. And as long as he is healthy and he is back, I think Florida has a real shot in this game. Obviously, it's a rivalry game. Both teams are going to be fired up. I think Georgia's the better team, but I don't think there's a huge gap. And I think Florida might have the advantage at quarterback. And I actually really like Florida's offensive line. I think their offensive line will do enough to open up that run game where Florida can stay balanced. I think the Florida defense, the secondary, their defensive line, I think will be strong in this one. And Florida gets the win. So a couple of upset losses here potentially for Georgia with losses to Auburn and Florida. I think Florida gets it done. And then you got Mississippi State the next game on the road, November 8th. It's going to be an improved Bulldog team, but not improved enough. I think Georgia, just too much talent. They get the win here in this one. Then you got Texas, November 15th. Of course, Georgia beat them twice last year, and they're going to have a great opportunity again, this time with a game in Athens. It's basically a toss-up game for me. I think this is one that could go either way. I think Texas probably has the better overall roster. This is a really good. This Texas team is really good. But you look at Georgia again playing at home. It's kind of like that Alabama game. I think they'll be really fired up. Their defense will play really, really well. And you get Kirby Smart, in a big game. His ability to motivate his team, we've seen it time and time again. I think that's going to be the case here, and I think Georgia gets this win. And then I think they beat Charlotte, an easy one. Then you got Georgia Tech, November 28th. This will be on a Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving. On the road, the game's in Atlanta. I don't know how much of a home field advantage Georgia Tech will have, but it should be a fun one. As a matter of fact, that game might actually be at Mercedes-Benz. Now that I think about it, I don't know that that's on Georgia Tech's campus. So, I don't know what the home field advantage will be here. Obviously, a rivalry game. We saw Georgia Tech last year really challenge this Georgia team. I mean, you really thought there were times in that game you really thought that Georgia could lose. I mean, it was kind of a shocker. I think Georgia's they're going to be ready. I don't think they're going to overlook this team at all, especially after that game last year. I'm just looking at the schedule. Yes, it is in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So I don't know what the crowd split. I have no idea. I don't know if like Georgia Tech gets the majority of the tickets, or if it's just a neutral site game basically, then and Georgia is probably going to be the team with home field advantage. So I don't know how that's going to work. Maybe some of you Georgia fans or Georgia Tech fans can fill me in on that down in the comments. But yeah, it should be a competitive game, I think, for a little bit, just because Georgia Tech's going to be a solid team. But I think the talent overall for Georgia is going to wear them down. Their defense is going to be really good. They got a couple of really good receivers at Georgia Tech that could cause some problems. And Haynes King running the ball, I think, is going to cause some problems for the Georgia defense. But it's one of those that's close at halftime, but Georgia able to pull away. I think they take care of business a little bit easier this year, and they get this one over Georgia Tech, gets them to 10-2. So a 10-2 regular season, same as last year. I know people are probably going to look at this graphic and say, wait, you haven't been losing to Auburn and Florida, but beating Alabama and Texas. Well, I mean, sometimes that's just the way it goes. But as you guys know, really what we're trying to do here is predict the overall record. So sometimes, maybe the matchups won't come out exactly like this, but I do think this team will go 10-2. Well, maybe they lose to Alabama and beat Auburn, or they beat Florida and lose to Texas. However it comes, I do think this is a team that's going to go 10-2. Would love to get your predictions. What do you think about Georgia? Let me know down in the comments below.